Hello, everyone, and welcome to IATEFL Live, the final show before the IATEFL conference in Brighton. I'm Georgia Papamihailidou, and yes, before you say anything, I have lost my voice just before the conference, which is perfect timing. Doesn't it feel like perfect timing? Because this is what the big energy is. We're getting ready, we're preparing for the conference, and we are here so that you will not miss anything. In this final show, we have got all of the secrets about the behind the scenes of the conference and how you can get ready for Brighton this year. Whether you're coming to the conference or not, we are here to give you the vibes, to give you news, updates, interviews with speakers from the conference, and of course, to give you an insight into Brighton itself, a beautiful city with the sunshine. And of course, the people who are in the show today have all promised me that they would be swimming with me at the conference, right? Let me see their faces before. Yes, Metin says yes. Chris says yes. Colm probably says yes as well. Lovely. So now, before we start, just say hello in the comments below. Tell us where you're watching us from, whether you're coming to the conference or not. We'd like to hear from you as well. And since we're talking about our IATEFL conference in Brighton, I thought that it is the best opportunity for us to invite one of our executive committees, the conference committee. Two members of the conference committee are with me today, and I would like to welcome here on the show Metin Essen and Colm Downs. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, hello. Nice to be here. Thanks, Georgia.
Thank you for
Hello.
joining. So, welcome to our show. And before we start talking about the conference, I would like to know more about you. Usually during the conference, I don't get the chance to chat with either of you. We do meet around the corridors during breakfast time, but we don't really get to meet at the conference. So, for the people watching us from home, let's talk about you. So, Metin, let's start with you. Who are you?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Hello, everyone. It's definitely lovely to be presenting to you along with Georgia today. My name is Metin, and I am an academic skills tutor working at Arden University Berlin campus. I am originally from Turkey, but I have been living and working in Berlin, Germany for the past 4 years now. So my background is in ELT. So years ago, when I graduated from my literature department, I promised myself not to be a teacher, and here I am. So, yeah, once I actually started teaching, and once I enjoyed it so much, I decided to have a career in teaching, and no regrets at all. No regrets. And I have a master's in curriculum and instruction, and currently I'm actually doing my PhD in, again, English language teaching. So I'm planning to complete my dissertation by June, but fingers crossed. I don't know if it will come along. We will see. We will see. And my involvement with IATEFL actually started with Learning Autonomy Special Interest Group. So we
Ah,
organized an event together at the beginning of the pandemic. So it was very unfortunate. We prepared everything, and at the last minute, the event had to be canceled because of the pandemic. But so it got me involved with IATEFL, and later I learned about the organizing committee. And when there was a position announced, I just wanted to give it a try. And I'm absolutely happy to be here working alongside Colm and Sanya and helping to organize this beautiful and insightful event. So I think that's all from me for now.
Matthew, this is so beautiful. Can I please ask before we go to Colm? You mentioned your dissertation, and whenever I hear people doing a dissertation or a thesis of some sort, I always want to ask them, what is it about?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. My dissertation is about mainly teacher education, and I am trying to understand how teacher autonomy works more specifically. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Oh, thank you very much. And Colm, what about you? Who are you?
Who am I? Well, first of all, I should say I'm currently in the UK. I'm not normally in the UK, but I've come back to the UK for IATEFL. But before I come to IATEFL, I'm in Suffolk, uh, in well, not far from London, and I'm currently getting my mother's car fixed at uh, a kind of workshop because I'm planning to drive to Brighton on Sunday as long as the car passes its MOT. I am normally, when I'm not here in the UK, I live and work in Jakarta in Indonesia, where I've been based for over a decade now. And my last kind of permanent role there, I was the director of English Education and Society for the British Council. And I had a sort of almost a 20-year career with the British Council. And my whole career has been in English language teaching, teacher development, teacher training, materials writing. I am very passionate about English for specific purposes. And I wrote a book a long time ago called Cambridge English for Job Hunting. And I'm passionate about content and language integrated learning. And I think this year's conference is going to be my seventh. So I have been a speaker, a SIG member and volunteer, and for the last 2.5 years, I've been really happy to be part of the IATEFL conference committee.
Now, Cole, what I want to ask you is about the conference committee and generally about volunteering with IATEFL as well. So, how did your journey in volunteering start?
Well, for me, it started really. I, as I said, like this is going to be my seventh conference with IATEFL. It is a community that has been like very close to my heart. I mean, there's many reasons why people come to IATEFL for professional development, to connect with old friends, to get up to date with the latest innovations, and all of these are reasons why I love and come to IATEFL. And as I said, I've been supporting delegations often with it as part of my role with the British Council, but I wanted to really think about how I could get a little bit more involved in some of the committees and the ways in which IATEFL itself is put together. I'm trying to drive forward some innovations. It's not always easy to change something like IATEFL, which has a very kind of historical, solid structure and ways in which it's delivered. But I know Chris, the incoming president of IATEFL, and I asked Chris and I talked to him, and he told me that there are sometimes opportunities that come up publicly, and I kept an eye on those. And then I think all of the roles for committees are advertised, and people can apply for them. And for some roles, I think there's a selection process, and more senior roles than mine go to a membership kind of voting. Like so, for the sort of senior trustee roles, I think IATEFL members get to vote for those. But yeah, for mine, I applied, sent my CV, and I think it was a committee that I was fortunate enough to be selected to join the conference committee for 3 years.
Brilliant. Now, Metin, coming back to you, can you give us a glimpse into what goes into organizing an event of this scale?
Yeah, I think there are many dimensions to it. So even from the smallest detail to the really important things, so we have to take into consideration many things. I think one of the most important things is the selection of the plenary speakers. This is where we start to organize the conference, and then teams are shaped around this selection process. And in the meantime, many other things are happening simultaneously. For example, selection of the proposals, organizing the booklet, organizing the extracurricular events that take place in the evening. So it's like there is this machine working in the background and producing lots of different things in the meantime. And at the end of the day, although it looks very chaotic and very difficult to understand, it just comes down to this big event, big singular event that takes place within a week. And somehow everything works out well. Yeah, despite this chaos and despite these things going on at the background in different directions, still they all meet in the same place. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, what does the conference committee actually do? Because you mentioned some very important elements like the plenary speakers. When does the preparation start for the conference committee?
Yeah, I could say it starts right after what a conference takes place, even before that. So this year, for example, when we were selecting the plenary speakers for this year's event, we were even discussing about some possible names for the next year's conference. So it's a never-ending process. It's a never-ending cycle, and then. Of course, once we have, for example, these names, once we select people, so our job is not finished. So we are still required to so bring these people together, make sure that there is some match between the teams and they are aware of what each person is presenting. So it's like making everything smooth. Yeah, Colm, what would you say?
I would say, yeah, there's a lot of things in this process. I think what I hope people who are watching this will learn is that there are lots of ways in which the conference committee itself, in a way, is just collating and bringing ideas that come from IATEFL members, whether that's from the survey after the end of the conference itself. People can talk about kind of what kind of topics they're keen to hear more from, what kind of plenary speakers they would like to hear from. They can do that through the conference survey. They also can do that through SIGs. So each of the IATEFL SIGs, the special interest groups, the conference committee, we ask the SIGs for recommendations because they're the experts really in their area, and they put forward sometimes ideas. So we end up with a long list of names, and then that gets narrowed down to a kind of a short list. And then the short list, even at this stage, the conference committee proposes some people that we think are going to be fantastic, bearing in mind all things like having a good gender balance, having a good geographical balance, because IATEFL is international. These are all considerations, as well as what is a hot topic right now and who is doing something that's fresh and relevant and is going to bring something exciting to the conference. And then we put forward a kind of list of people that we think would be great, but it's the trustees at the moment who make final decisions. Okay, so there's some insight for your members in how this is all done. But it's not just about plenary speakers. Plenary speakers are they have the big slots, but it's the whole conference itself. And then I think you're going to hear more from Chris. I would say it's that side of things starts certainly immediately after the conference, if not before, for the following year. And the last thing I wanted to add, because Metin was rightly talking about there's lots of things happening, I wanted to say and really give a big shout out to the IATEFL team itself. Okay, so the reason everything actually runs really smoothly, we're just volunteers, I'd like to say, with a bit of expertise in ELT and in English language teaching and in our specific niche within ELT. But the real professional team, the IATEFL team, led by John Burton and all of the others, they really make the IATEFL conference the really smooth professional conference. So when everybody comes next week, everything works like clockwork because really of their hard work. We're just volunteers to support it.
You could have said it better. Metin and Colm, you're absolutely right in saying this. And yes, big shout out to our wonderful IATEFL team. I keep saying this. When I first started volunteering at IATEFL, that's when I first saw a brilliantly coordinated and dedicated team. So I'm really much looking forward to seeing them again. Well, seeing them is an overstatement. We will see them somewhere in the conference. Brilliant. Now, Colm, I have got another question for you because you mentioned that there are a lot of things happening in the conference. For example, the evening events, lightning talks. To what extent you're involved? The conference or committee is involved to these?
We're heavily involved in those things because these kind of evening activities are really run by the conference committee, sometimes with other passionate volunteers. So, for example, I will run the music night with Jeremy Harmer, which has been going long before I joined the conference committee. I don't know how many music nights Jeremy has been involved in leading. So I'm really supporting Jeremy. That's going to be on Tuesday night. But the quiz, Metin, Sanya, and I are running the international quiz on Thursday night. We have had a lot of fun putting together the questions. But I think it's always been the conference committee who have been responsible, or different members of the conference committee. Sean, who's coming in as president, used to run the quiz in the past. He might want to get back involved. We'll see. So we run the quiz. There are other evening activities that have been running for a number of years. So I know on Wednesday night there's sharing stories, which I think is run by our former president, and that's going to be on Metin. Who's running it on Wednesday night? Is it Danny? And
I think I'm not sure.
Well, we can check the program for the people watching us from home. Can check the program to find out more.
Yes.
Okay, but basically, the evening events are part of our responsibility. So there are a few less at the moment than there were. We wanted to really try to make sure that the evening events that are run are very high quality, and that we have a really good audience for them. But also because there's an awareness that there are a lot of other activities happening in the city, as well as, I know a lot of publishers run events for their writers and their networks and their teams as well. So yeah, we're open to ideas and innovations and initiatives. So we hope everybody will enjoy this year's extracurricular activities and want as many people to come as possible. But we also welcome recommendations for new activities that can be added to the program for future conferences.
Brilliant. Now, Metin, I know that you're quite the quiz master.
Yeah, I took over this duty during the former Brighton conference. Yes, 2 years ago.
And that's when I first met you, actually.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Now, I always ask this question. Everybody knows I like this question. Are there any, and you can say that quietly, any questions, any secret questions that you might want to share with the audience here?
Yeah, I think I get approached a lot during the conference by colleagues, by friends, and they are like, would you give us some tips? Which areas should we more study for? And then I say, no, nepotism, no. Everybody should sweat and everybody should do their best during the quiz. Actually, that's what people do, and it's so lovely to observe it. I think when people are actually doing the quiz, they don't see it, but because we are on the stage and because we are chairing it, so when you see those people just like socializing, having fun, sometimes a little bit drinking, and then trying to negotiate the answers. No, I think this is correct. No, this must be the correct answer. It's like so fun. It's absolutely fun. So of course, I think Holm and I, we are of the same opinion. We want to be the participants, actually, not the hosts and quiz masters, because it's a fun event.
It is, and everybody talks about the quiz. When we have speakers coming to be interviewed at the studio, at the conference, we almost always hear about the quiz night and the music night, of course, as well, and the storytelling night. So the social events are some of the most popular things to talk about during the show. Now, while hearing both of you talk about the conference, what I really like hearing is the passion that you both put in. Like I can hear it in your voice. So, and I know how hard the conference committee has been working behind the scenes all year round. Like this committee is non-stop. So big shout out to Alex and Sanya, who were not able to join us today as well. What does it feel like to know that the conference is just about to begin? And that's a question for both of you.
All right, I'll jump in. I wanted to say, of course, it's Harry Kutcher and David Heathfield who are running Sharing Stories again on Wednesday. And that's a fantastic evening activity. But in answer to your question, Georgia, I think so much work goes in at an early stage that I feel quite relaxed. I'm more worried about my car right now and making sure I get to Brighton. But the actual because the program and the team do such a good job. Like we talk about all of these like small little details that I'm generally quite relaxed. I think because IATEFL maybe has a format, a format that people are familiar with, that works, that is effective, and a lot of experienced people supporting each other. That I think I know from my own experience with like organizing my own smaller conferences, that if you really put the hard work in and plan it well, then usually these things run themselves, once they're up and running. So I'm feeling quite excited, really, just to get to Brighton and to see everybody myself. Metin?
Yeah, and for me, also it's those small glimpses that suggest people cannot have enough of it. For example, sometimes they just go through the booklet and try to choose their next workshop, next presentation, and they always regret not being able to attend others because they have to be somewhere else. And then you say, yeah, it's such a nice selection of presentations and topics that people just want to have it all. Or when they socialize, when they get to know other colleagues from around the world, and they just meet outside these sessions as well, and then maybe build a friendship, a companionship throughout the conference, join some sessions together. So I think these small things make us happy and then make us feel like we did a nice job, of course, with the trustees and all the people who put effort into this one.
I think, George, if I could just add to that, because I don't know if you'll ask us, but I'm thinking about kind of my own tips or advice for people who are coming to the conference for the first time, or maybe second or third time, what I've learned based on my own mistakes, right? So I think the hardest thing is there are so many parallel sessions, so many great sessions, that it is really hard to decide which session to go to. And the things I've learned to do, I'm still not perfect, but I'm trying to do better, is to analyze the conference booklet in advance, like this week, and work out really what I want to see next week, and then have some breaks built into it, because you burn out if you try to go to a session after session after session. And then the second thing is, and again, I'm not always as good at this as I should be, because I've been coming for many years now, I have like speakers I know are brilliant, speakers I know inspire me. But then if I only go and see all of those speakers in a way, although they might be talking about something new, and I often do, I really try to stop myself sometimes seeing the same speakers and trying to find new people, trying to find something new. It's a bit like I can compare it to going to a music festival. So you go to a music festival and you see the bands and you don't see these new bands, and then like 3 years later, that new band that you didn't see is now huge, and you're like, oh, I was at this festival and I could have seen them, but I didn't because I went to the main stage every time. So now I'm like, yeah, I have to find a balance between seeing my favorite speakers, because it's nice to see what they're doing next or what they're talking about next, and then trying to find something different or something new.
Absolutely. And Colin, thank you very much for making my job easier, because that was going to be actually the question I was going to ask both of you. So, Martin, for you, what is a practical tip for navigating the conference?
Yeah, I would also say the same thing. Please take a look at the conference booklet beforehand. And if you are really, really interested some of these sessions, mark them. We also have the conference app. I think we will be using it again this year, so they can create their own programs even before coming to the conference. But along with that, I would also recommend dividing this experience into three. One third is definitely learning. One third is networking, and one third would be enjoyment. So it is not only about doing science and then attending sessions. So it's about so many things. And learning, it comes easy, because whether it's like a 1 hour plenary session or just a 3 minute lightning talk, it doesn't matter. Throughout those weeks, people will learn so much that their brains will blow up, so they don't need to be concerned about that so much. And networking, as I said, is really important. So probably they already know some of these people attending the event, and this is an absolute opportunity to enlarge their circle of professionals and get to know more people, and who knows what projects in the future this will lead to. And then, of course, the enjoyment part. So it's also important. I think, what do we do in the classroom with our learners? We a little bit try to entertain them as well, because this caters to their motivation. So it's the same thing for us, actually. So if we don't enjoy it, if we are not genuinely there as ourselves, the rest will not be so easy. So I definitely recommend caring about having a nice time as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you both very much. Now, before we say goodbye and say hello in Brighton, I love asking this question to my guests. You didn't give me a secret related to the quiz, but can I please ask you, are there any secret or hidden gems in this year's conference?
I think we can share only one thing that wouldn't hurt, I guess. So last year, after last year's quiz, we got some feedback from people, and we found it really, really useful. So there will be something new, a new feature in this year's quiz, but not much detail.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll take that.
All I can say, I'll say this year's quiz is better than last year's quiz. For sure. I think last year's quiz was great, but we've worked on it. It's even better. It's going to be amazing. Second thing I would say, I'm going to plug my own session that Tyson Seaburn, the chair of the membership committee, and he's leading the session, but the two of us together on Friday morning are doing an early morning session about how to get the most out of your IATEFL membership. And so there's quite a lot of these early morning special kind of before the plenary sessions begin. So if you come in early, you got some really, even though I say it myself, the others are every morning. There's some really nice sessions early in the morning. So that's kind of, people might not realize that or might miss that. I know you got to get to the venue early to take advantage of that. And people are often still having their breakfast or getting dressed. But if you are an early riser, go for a swim, and then you can come in before the plenary for some of those sessions. And then the only other thing I would say, is that honestly, it's a really diverse lineup of plenary speakers this year. All 5, because we have 4 in the morning and then 1 and 5 after. They're all going to be really good. And Brighton is a really nice venue for that plenary room. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the plenaries myself, even though we had a role in kind of spotting these and helping put them together. So yeah, It's not a secret, but yeah, make sure you come to the plenaries because they're going to be great.
Absolutely. And of course, you said it, Colm, that we are going swimming before the plenary.
I went. Me and Nick Bilborough. Honestly, see here we. You think we're joking? I swam in the sea 2 years ago with Nick Bilborough from the Hands Up Project. I mean, we swam for the Hands Up Project. He made a video. It's somewhere there, and I jumped in. We didn't stay in there for long, but we went into the sea.
Amazing. I'll probably be joining you too then this year. Brilliant. Well, thank you both very much for your time. Big shout out to Alex and Sanya who couldn't join us today, but I hope that the conference committee can come and visit us in the studio next week. Excellent. So please come and say hello. And thank you very much for your hard work. And thank you for organizing this wonderful conference, which I'm sure will be again this year. So see you then in Brighton.
See you. Thank
See
you,
there.
Georgia.
Thank you both very much. Bye-bye. Now, the conference committee, Colm and Metin, made it sound very, very exciting what the conference is going to be about next week and what we're going to see. And of course, I am very, very excited to also meet my own digital committee, Nikki and Anka, who couldn't make it today, but big shout out to the girls as well who will be setting up the studio with me on Monday. But before we talk about any other details about the studio, let's welcome our current IATEFL president, Chris Graham. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Georgia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
Chris, I feel that you might need to do all of the live shows next week if my voice continues like this.
No, I'm too busy. I've got to go out now. Too many other things. I'm certainly not doing that. Let me find somebody else.
But this is why I've asked you, because you said you're too busy. What will you be doing at the conference next week?
Walking around, looking important, probably. No, I mean, I've got lots of meetings actually, because it is a chance when people who are part of the IATEFL machine are actually in person in the same place at the same time. So I'll be meeting with the advisory council who are part of the overall IATEFL machine. As I say, I'll be meeting with them. I've got a meeting with the publications committee that I chair. We only manage to meet face to face once a year. Meeting with various stakeholders, sponsors, partners. I'll be speaking at Associates Day. So yeah, it's for me, it's an opportunity to kind of catch up face to face with people who I communicate with digitally across the year, but actually to sit with them and just exchange ideas and get that kind of human touch that unfortunately that we lose when we're working online.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you mentioned that we exchange ideas because
Mm.
this is what the conference is about. And what Metin and Colm said before really inspired me because they mentioned that there are a lot of themes this year at the conference. So, based on what you know about the conference, what are some of the themes that we'll be seeing this year?
Well, it's really interesting actually because I mean I suppose the conference should, I think it does reflect the current state of ELT, what's going in the world, what's going on in the world of ELT. So there's obviously a lot of work about technology because EdTech is making its impact more and more. It's getting more and more part of our daily lives. So that is certainly one theme. I'm not talking about the plenaries necessarily. I'm talking about the overall conference. So that's obviously a theme. Newish areas like we've got emergent language, we've got Richard and Danny's talk, plenary talk on the Wednesday. So I think if we get it right, we are reflecting the things that are going on in ELT around the world. Obviously, we can't encompass everything, but I'm very pleased that there's such a diversity of theme. If you just sit down with a program and sort of go through it, if you've got a paper version or scroll through, it's quite astonishing the number of areas that you can catch up with.
Absolutely. Every time the program goes live, I start looking at all of the sessions. As Colm said, I start selecting the sessions that I want to attend, the speakers that we want to invite in the live shows during the conference, and also potential speakers for the themes conference in November. When you have the program in your hands, what is something that you prioritize and you select?
Well, you see, the trouble with being president is you can look at the titles of as many talks as you want to, but you probably won't go to any of them for the reasons I outlined at the beginning, because there's just things to be done. And I'm not complaining at all, apart from the fact that there's lots of people's talks. Like people say, why didn't you come to my talk? Well, because I was doing a committee, or I was speaking to a stakeholder, or I was doing X, Y, Z. So in a sense, it's a sense of frustration. So I mean, I absolutely love doing what I do for IATEFL, and I've got 2 more years, one more as president and one as outgoing vice president. But I'm quite looking forward to after that, when I can just go as a regular delegate and go where I want to, and think, oh, that's interesting, I'll go and see that. I do get into a few talks, but that's in a sense slightly frustrating, but it's outweighed by the fun I have actually doing the presidential thing.
Amazing. Chris, before we talk about the conference a little bit more, I want us to play this little ELT game. You know how
Oh dear.
you know how in lesson plans we usually write students will be able to.
Learning outcomes. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
Exactly. So shall we do the same for the conference? So
do we have to? Okay.
Please, let's do that.
All right, I'll go along with you.
Please complete the sentence. Delegates will be able to at this year's conference.
That's a really interesting question, because it's going to be different for everybody, because it will be really fun to kind of find out what people are planning to get out of it. So I kind of turn your question around and say, if we were stopping people in the queue, or as people register, saying what would be your outcomes, I think we'd get a massive variety of responses. And I think that's why the range, the selection is so important, because you may get, if I interview 10 people, 10 delegates, they'd probably all be trying to achieve something different. They might all want to catch up with their friends, which is a great outcome, not a learning outcome, but it's a social outcome. By the end of the conference, delegates will be able to confirm they have met 15 people they haven't seen for the last year. Something like that would be a really nice one. But above and beyond that, it's really difficult. I think everybody goes in with different planned outcomes. But also, I think that probably changes as the conference kind of unfolds over the sort of, the Tuesday to Friday period. People discover, I hadn't spotted it, I'll go to that. Well, that's an interesting exhibition stand. I haven't been. Let's go and see them. So I think it changes, and I think it's quite important that people do respond to that. Though the events are fixed, we don't always spot things when you first look at the program. You might spot it on today. That's I'll go and see that. And I think we all go in with different outcomes, or different planned outcomes. Whether we achieve them or not is going to vary, of course.
You're absolutely right. And this is what I love about the conference, that you might be going in to see the exhibition only, or to just watch the sessions only. But in reality, you end up doing so many more things. You end up networking. You end up meeting so many people that your whole schedule might just
Oh,
change.
totally, yeah. And that's fine. And I think it's really nice that we have the luxury of that. You might say, well, I was going to go and see her, but actually, I think I'll go and see her, or
Yeah,
I'll go and have a coffee with him. And that's great. Why not?
absolutely. I want us to play another ELT game, please.
Oh no, it's not think per share, is it? Because it's only my own.
No, no,
I
no,
can't do
no,
it.
no, 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 no. And the promise is not hangman. No, not at
All
all.
right, no, not doing that. No.
But in lesson observations, I always like asking the teachers, what will success be like for you for that lesson, for example? And I want to ask you the same question. What will success be like for you as the IATEFL president for this year's conference?
I suppose a number of measures of success, but I think I probably said this on the last slide, but I tend to repeat myself. But I think if we treat the conference as a kind of CPD fest, for want of a better word, I think CPD thrives on curiosity. And I'll be very happy if delegates go away thinking, I found out a bit about that, whatever that is, but I'd like to find out more. And that would make me very happy, that people go away, whatever it happens to be, something I knew a bit about that, but I really want to find out if we can pique curiosity, and that curiosity will drive people's professional development, hopefully over the coming months after the conference. We can't just load people with stuff in 4 days. That would be ridiculous. What we can do, I hope, is make them go away thinking, I'm going to go and find an article about that, or I'm going to go to a webinar about that, or go and talk to one of my colleagues about that. If we do that, then I'm happy. Absolutely. I think that's a good outcome, is piquing curiosity and creating a desire to find out more, rather than saying we've got the answer. We haven't got the answers, but we hopefully can stimulate questions and further thought and curiosity.
And you said it right.
I know it killed the cat, but I mean, never mind. We'll put that to one side.
Yeah, the key word is indeed curiosity. I love this. And for people attending first time, you did mention a fact before we went live about first timers. So what would you say is something very important for people attending the conference for the first time this year?
Don't be shy. I mean, I can imagine people going into the event and thinking, oh, there's all these people, they all got friends, they're all shaking hands and kissing each other, and I don't know any of them. And that's, that's an uncomfortable feeling, I think, for people. But I'm now giving a spoiler for my opening words on Tuesday morning. But I'm going to say, go up to people and just say, hello, I'm Chris, I live in Scotland, I'm interested in ABC, whatever it is you're interested in, and there's the conversation. You'll see people are pretty friendly. I mean, you could easily, feel very isolated. I think if you're there on your own or first time, it can happen. And I just want people to go up to other people and just talk to them, ask them questions, and be expect to answer questions too. We're really friendly people. That's what I like about IATEFL. It's very human. Yes, really human.
And what I like is that I got you to reveal a secret from the conference, which is a line from your opening. So thank you.
Oh, did I? I don't remember doing that. I'm not supposed to be spilling secrets. You tricked me into it.
Yes. But this is very important, exactly. And the two of us love doing the cues on Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, just controlling the crowd, yes?
Well, I'm doing the opening session, so I'm exempt from doing that. But I'll be thinking of you.
But what I want to mention is that when I first joined, before I became a trustee, and we were controlling the cues in Brighton 2024, that for me was very important, because regardless of what people might think, I'm an introvert myself as well. So it has always been, yeah, that's true. Yes. I know you're shocked, but it was so nice to see people saying hello to me and me saying hello to people in the queue. So the queue on Monday and Tuesday is so important, because this is when you actually get to reunite with people, isn't it?
Yeah, in the rain. Hopefully not this year, but no, you're right. And something I do also do at conference, and I do it. I mean, I go to quite a few conferences around the world, both in my own capacity, but also on behalf of IATEFL. I sit around. That might be a strange thing to say, but if I sit around somewhere at a table, people will come up to me. And that's really nice because they want to tell me something. And people tell you things, in that kind of private setting that is really useful information for us, I think. I know we have feedback processes and all of that, but sometimes someone will say, can I have a quick word? And that's when I get really useful information, all sorts of insights of all types. So, I mean, I know it sounds an excuse for sitting around. I quite like sitting around, but it's sort of focused sitting around, and people do come up and say, can I have a quick word? And I'm very, very comfortable with that. So you'll see me sitting around a bit. But you're right. Listening to people one to one is very important for all the trustees to do, I think, and we collect that gives us kind of forensic data that we need to deliver the best conference that we can over the years.
You're absolutely right, Chris. And I was going to say you're a regular in our studio as well. And this is what I say too. I do see people come in and talk to us, come and talk to you. And as two trustees who are in a place together, it's so nice to give this opportunity to people to heard. Yes. The reason why I'm starting like this is because I want to ask you, how do you see the role of community within IATEFL evolving throughout the years?
That's interesting. I mean, I think let's try and forget COVID for a minute if we can. The bad COVID years when obviously we were at the Harrogate conference and everything else. Those were bad times for all of us. I think I mean, I've already said this, but we have managed to maintain the personal touch. I mean, it's a big conference. There's a lot of delegates, a lot of exhibitors, a lot of people. But we do manage to retain that human touch. So if we are evolving, which I'm sure we are, as a conference and as an organization, it's not at the expense of being human, basically. We still have that human touch. And I think we've managed to maintain that, and I really hope we do. Of course, there are lots of external changes that are in the world and in our community that are beyond out of our hands. We have to respond to those. But as a conference specifically, if not as an organisation, that human touch is really important. Yes. But we have lots of new initiatives that I've been outlining at the AGM. People know about sustainability, but we've got a few other things up our sleeves that I will be mentioning, and colleagues will be mentioning, including you, George, other trustees will be mentioning. So we are evolving as an organisation, but hopefully keep the common touch, the human touch.
I love it, Chris. Just before we go and say hello in Brighton, what are some of the practical tips that you would like to share with the people watching us from home and they're getting ready for Brighton?
Take a raincoat.
And cover your chips from the seagulls.
Be careful with the seagulls, they'll steal your chips. There's plenty I mean, the city itself has got plenty to offer. Nice walks along the seafront. You really should go and see Brighton Pavilion, which is built as an act of madness by a member of our royal family. It is one of the most bizarre buildings you'll ever see, but it's a great place to visit. I wouldn't recommend the swimming; it's a bit chilly for that. In terms of conference, get to the social events. I mean, obviously the academic talks are the kind of the thing that underpins the whole thing, but we talked about networking, meeting people, and get to the social events. And if you're not very good at quizzes or you don't think you are, doesn't matter. You join a team. Teams are put together kind of ad hoc, and there'll be something you know something about, and somebody else won't. So the people that win the quizzes usually have quite a wide variety of backgrounds. That's how they manage to win. So get yourself to the quiz, get yourself along to the music night, get yourself along to sharing stories. I think that's very important. And don't feel isolated. We're all one big family, not always a happy family. Like any other family, we have our bust-ups, but we're all part of that family. And there is a great sense of community there. And I think we can take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Now, of course, my advice would be wear sensible shoes. and drink lots of water because these are two very important elements.
Yeah, I've actually got my water bottle ready, actually. Otherwise, I just dehydrate and wilt.
Brilliant. And what is one last thing that you're preparing for the conference, Chris?
Well, do you want a secret?
Please.
I thought you might do that face. Well, even though I'm talk far too much and make a lot of noise, and I do about, I don't know, 30 or 40 talks a year, I have massive stage fright. I get very, very anxious before every talk that I do. I always have done. So I'm doing on a Monday evening, I'm doing the welcome, which is quite straightforward because we have proper entertainment, not Alex and me. We actually have a proper singer, but just a little bit of anxiety about the beginning of that. And I have anxiety about Tuesday morning, about opening the conference. Now, my rationale behind that would be if you're not anxious, you're not doing it properly. But that's what I'm dealing with at the moment. I mean, as I say, I go all over the world doing talks and sessions, all sorts of things. I can very rarely sleep the night before. So that's what I'm managing at the moment. And I'd say that to anyone who is listening who's also doing a talk or any kind of session. It's perfectly normal to be nervous. It's as if maybe you're not doing it right. I really think it's a good thing because anxiety makes you think through all the possible what ifs in your session. And my introduction is relatively straightforward, and head office have kindly written notes for me so I don't get completely lost. But that's what I'm dealing with at the moment, even more so on Monday night.
Chris, honestly, thank you for sharing this secret because you're absolutely right. There's so many people who are presenting for the first time and they get so anxious. So it is so important to hear that. And thank you.
If you're not nervous, if you're not anxious, I'm not sure you thought it through properly. I think one or two worst case scenarios keep us focused, and that's fine.
Yeah. You said this to me in the conference we met last year in Malta. And you said to me, we were discussing something else, and you said to me, if you're not anxious, then you're not doing it right. And I wrote it in a notebook that I had where I write important things. And sometimes I keep this in mind. So thank you for the reminder.
Well, maybe it's just a justification for my paranoias. I don't know, but I think the kind of the answer to successful presentations is probably constant paranoia. What could go wrong, what might happen, what might develop. So I'm good with that. Well, I will be on Tuesday morning, I hope.
Brilliant. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome, Georgia.
I will see you next week in Brighton.
Not if I see you first, as I say.
Absolutely. So, Chris, see you in Brighton. And I just want to say thank you for everyone watching these pre-conference live shows here online. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your energy, your comments. Let's say some final hellos to Galina and Muna who join us and write their comments on our social media. Thank you so much for your energy and time. And also don't forget that we will be live throughout the conference. We have got some fantastic lineup of speakers who will be coming to the studio to be interviewed and also give you some more tips and secrets from the actual conference. I, of course, hope that my voice will have recovered by then. Otherwise, Chris will have to forget everything else on his schedule and come and do the shows. So thank you very much, everybody, and see you next week live from the IATEFL conference in Brighton. Bye, everybody.